Hey, everybody. Welcome to Foodie the Beast. We're David and Nikki Nellis.
We have such a delicious show for you today. There was so much food in studio. We have Domenica Marchetti in. She has her pasta cookbook. And Leland Morris from the Lobster Truck is in with his lobster rolls.
And Chef Claudio Pirolo's in from Et Voila with Mussels and Beer. And we've got Rammy Best Wine Program nominees. So there's going to be a lot of food and wine today.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Planet Wine. It's like having your own wine cellar right in the heart of Del Rey. More than 700 bottles of domestic and imported wines offer something for every occasion and budget. For fine wines and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. All right, and the 2011 Rammys are coming up next week.
Woohoo!
And we have two nominees for Best Wine Program in with us today. Return guest Dean Gold, owner of Dino in Cleveland Park. And in from Taberna Alla Bardero is their sommelier Gustavo Iniesta.
Did he say it right? Is that the right way to say it?
You know what? When it first came out and we just heard about it, I used to say Taberna Abracadabra, but I did say it right. And we're going to be talking about their exceptional Spanish wine list.
Well, let's get started. Gentlemen, come up to the mic, please. There are a lot of great wine programs in the city and a lot of competition for this Rammy. So what do you guys attribute this nomination? How do you...
Try not to fight.
Yeah.
Well,
Dean, you got to lift up that mic.
Lift up the mic.
4 inches
there you go. There you go.
This is radio.
There we go.
Yeah. No, I'm really honored when we've been nominated. This is I think our third in a row, because our wine program is really weird. It doesn't have any wines that people recognize. We don't really look at scores or famous wines. We want to bring to people the countryside wines of Italy, just like we try and bring the countryside foods of Italy. So we deal with small family-owned wineries. We don't have Tignanello, we don't have Sassicaia, we don't have Gaia on our list. There's a lot of people who say, well, it can't be a good Italian wine list if you don't have those wines.
Mm-hmm.
And then
what do they know, Dean?
Yeah, and then they drink our Barolos and Barbarescos and Brunellos, and they say, wow, this list is pretty fabulous. So,
excellent.
It's nice to be recognized by your peers.
And Gustavo, it wasn't that long ago that when you talked about great wines, people would say, okay, France, Italy, maybe some wines from Germany, but Spanish wines weren't on everybody's radar. Now, of course, they are in a big way. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that right now we have a very good position in the States about the Spanish wines, because the people want to quality for low prices, right? And Spain right now, they are doing that, and we are offering a very good wine list with all those kind of wines, low prices and also high prices.
I'll take the low prices.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
He's notoriously cheap.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Notoriously. But okay, so and you've got a wine list you've got like 300, 400 wines, correct?
Yes, that's right. Wow. Mostly from Spain, like the 96% of the wine list is from Spain, and a little bit of Napa, Oregon, and Virginia wines, of course.
Well, it's good to have local. When everybody trumps local, you should have some Virginia on there.
Exactly.
So you guys brought in one inexpensive pour and one splurge pour. So what is we're going to start with you, Gustavo. What is your inexpensive pour that we're starting with?
Well, actually, I bring both an expensive one.
Okay.
One white and one red.
Even better.
Okay. We can start for the white, of course. It's called Fuente Milano. 2010 is 100% Viura, an autochthonal grape from Spain, the north of Spain.
Can you show the bottle to the camera, please? Great,
and,
thank you.
50% Verdejo, and a very well-known grape in Spain. It's from Rueda region in the northwest of Spain. Well, if do you mind, I will pour a little
ahead.
bit.
Why
would we mind? Why do you think you're here, my friend?
And what does this bottle go for?
This is cost $9.99.
$9.99.
So it's just in the limit.
Okay,
so 1, 2, 3, 4.
Excellent.
That's my kind of wine,
well, pass
baby.
that wine down and let's get started.
All right, so
with
Domenica.
Yes,
of all,
hi.
Hi, welcome.
You are easily described as a Renaissance woman. You were a newspaper reporter originally, and then you was it food that you were working on?
No, I was a beat reporter for a long time, a municipal reporter, and then I started writing about health and fitness and nutrition back when I was in Detroit. And And then I also wrote about philanthropy. I wrote about everything except food for quite a while. But then when my children were young, I left my full-time job and decided that I really wanted to write about food because I'd come home from work and I'd just start pouring through my cookbooks. And I loved cookbooks.
Well, you grew up in a house.
Yes.
Your mom was a big cook,
My
right?
Now, are
mom's
you
a
named
wonderful
Domenica
cook.
because you were born on Sunday? Or does
No, I'm named Domenica after my grandfather, whose name was Domenico, my paternal grandfather. And yes, my mother was actually born and raised in the Abruzzo region of Italy, and she came over to the States in the 1950s. But, when I was growing up, I ate her wonderful Italian food, and she is still a wonderfully creative cook in the kitchen. She's always trying new dishes. So she's my biggest source of inspiration, of course.
Okay, we have to take a quick break. But when we come back, we're going to talk
do?
about this incredible.
I guess
We do. We're going to talk about this incredible dish that you brought with you and where people can find your book and if you're doing book signings in the area. This is David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie and the Beast. We're going to dig into pasta. We're going to be having some lobster and we're going to be drinking some wine.
And you won't be hearing from me much.
We'll be back in just a second. Stop speaking.
The phrase neighborhood restaurant means convenience, but not necessarily style or good taste. But in DC's West End, Circle Bistro, Notte Bianche, and Dish Plus Drinks take neighborhood dining to new levels. Circle Bistro offers contemporary French-inspired cuisine. Dish has new twists on American classics. And Notte Bianche is the perfect Italian trattoria. The Kennedy Center is just steps away, so pre- and post-theater dining is enjoyable and convenient. Dish, Notte Bianche, and Circle Bistro. There's good taste in the neighborhood. Okay, welcome back to Foodie and the Beast with David and Nikki Nellis. We are stuffing our faces.
We are stuffing our
with
faces.
Domenica Marchetti's pasta that
What did you bring in? Tell us what you brought in.
Okay, this is from the chapter called Pasta on the Run, because as much as I like to make homemade pasta, I really don't have a lot of time to do it during the week, so I use a lot of boxed pasta. And
Heresy.
No, it's not.
actually, boxed pasta is wonderful. It's completely different than fresh, but it's just as good. And with all the farmers markets around, you can really make a delicious seasonal sauce in the time it takes to boil the pot of water, which is what I did here. I have BLT bucatini. The bucatini are the fat noodles with the hole in them, and they're fat and squiggly, and they're hard to roll on your fork, but kids love them.
Why the hole?
That's for even cooking.
Oh, okay. And it captures sauce?
Yeah, well, yeah, but mainly the hole is there so that the noodle will cook in pretty quickly, and it will cook all the way through.
It's delicious.
And so BLT bucatini is kind of an Italian spin on the BLT, and I've got pancetta, which crisp pancetta, arugula instead of lettuce, and then some slow roasted cherry tomatoes, which is really easy to do. It's just kind of
throw them in the oven.
Yeah, throw them in the oven and let them roast at a slow temperature. And then a little bit of pecorino cheese on top. And it's a really great dish for summer. It's very easy to make. It's kid friendly, and of course, with the pancetta, aka bacon, it's dad friendly.
Right,
so
it's everybody
nice
friendly.
Father's Day pasta.
Before we wrap up with you, I want to talk about one other dish that I had of yours that I've read about. I mean, you have great essays in the book, just personal stories and how you came across the recipes. But the Miller's pasta.
The Miller's wife
Can you just
pasta.
explain that pasta?
Well, that's macaroni, right?
Yeah. Macaroni alla molinara.
Right.
And this is from
Domus.
from a very small this one valley in the Teramo province of Abruzzo. And this pasta dates back to the 13th century. And as many times as I had been to Abruzzo, I had never even heard of it until a couple of years ago when I was traveling in this particular valley. And this valley used to be dotted with flour mills. So this noodle is basically flour and eggs and a good bit of water, which makes for very tender dough. And you pull it and stretch the dough until you've got a big loop, and then you roll the loop out until it's about if you were to measure it end to end, it would be 10 feet or longer. So you've got one giant coil, and it takes a little bit of time to roll it out, but it's not that difficult actually because it's a very supple dough. And you coil that big loop, and you dump it in boiling water, and you let it cook for about 20 minutes. The fat noodles, it takes a little time to cook.
They are fat. They're so doughy.
They're fat,
they're
and
delicious.
they're like gnocchi almost.
They are
they're
like
chewy
gnocchi.
and they're doughy, but they're tender at the same time. And they're sauced with a very basic Abruzzese meat sauce, and with a little, flavored with pork and lamb and beef. And so I had never encountered this noodle before, and I could not believe it when they were telling me about it. So a friend of mine brought me to this restaurant where they specialize in it, and the the chef was kind enough to give me and my daughter actually an impromptu lesson. So we learned how to roll this noodle out right in this little restaurant in the hills of Abruzzo. It was really a wonderful moment.
Well, it's delicious, and I just wanted to point it out because people need to check out that recipe. Tell everybody where they can find your book, please.
The book you can find, the easiest place, of course, is Amazon. Hill's Kitchen on Capitol Hill
Oh, great
sells
little place.
it, and I just recently did a signing there. If you're in Virginia, La Cuisine in Old Town.
Great.
People have spotted it at Borders and Barnes & Noble, and if you don't see it there, ask for it because they can get it for you.
And give us your website, please.
It's www.domenicacooks.com, and
Right.
I blog about pasta and many other things.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for
So
coming
great
in.
to be here. Thanks
Really
for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Leland, I'm going to ask you to sit down, please.
All right, so last time you were here, your trucks weren't rolling
We
yet.
didn't even have a truck yet.
And
No.
now you've got two out there.
Now we have
and you're
2.5.
kicking butt and taking
2.5.
names.
2.5.
What does that mean, 2.5?
We have our third truck, and we're going to be putting that into
Just
construction.
2 wheels so far?
2 wheels, yep. 2 wheels, a steering wheel.
Well, how long does it take to put together a truck?
A pretty long time, about
Does it?
3 to 4 months to build out.
Hey, you two
So
just
a lot
talk.
of
I'm going to
planning.
bite into this. I don't even know how to do it.
Is it just because you have all these special specifications? Like what goes into a lobster truck?
Right. It's a lot of space planning. When you only have 18 feet to work in, you have to really plan out your space.
Right.
We've had some evolutions that occurred between truck number 1 and truck number 2.
Like?
Some of which worked, some of which haven't.
Right, you have to
so,
figure it out. That makes sense.
Right. So now we're trying to a little bit of redesign for truck number 3. We
Okay.
also have a slightly different concept for truck number 3. We may be doing just like a corporate catering drop off, so you can get online, get on our website, say at 11:15 I want 50 rolls dropped off. We'll pull up, make them, go to the next one. All
Okay,
prepaid,
at 11:15, I
pre-ordered.
want 50 rolls.
Yeah.
Talk about the rest of your menu, because you've got a simple menu and a limited menu, but it's unbelievable. You got whoopie pies.
Whoopie
Well,
pies.
Special soda.
what makes the whoopie pies
Whoopie.
from Maine?
Maine. Well,
those
there's
special?
There's some debate out there as to
Okay.
whether it was a Pennsylvania tradition or a Maine tradition. I think
that's
it was
true.
probably a simultaneous pop-up. But you know, it's a classic recipe formulation that we work with. Whoopsies is a local bakery here, based out of Chantilly, and Berkeley's mother is up in Maine. She has a bakery up there. And it's just a strong, Maine tradition that they grew
Right.
up eating, and they kept it to what the tradition is, which I think is really important, and that fits with our lobster roll. Just very simple.
Right, you just
focus
grab
on the
it,
ingredients.
hold it.
Right.
Do you do shrimp rolls too, or they're...
Wild Maine shrimp rolls. We sure do. And
So is that a similar recipe to the
it
lobster
is.
roll? I mean, is it similar?
Yeah, it's very similar. The mayo that we use has a little roasted garlic and tarragon in it, so
Okay.
slightly different flavoring, but essentially the same sandwich.
But I would
So,
assume the biggest sell is the lobster roll.
the Maine lobster roll.
Now,
Right,
you
got
guys are
it.
doing catering now?
We're doing catering,
Okay.
so we can either pull our truck right up to your house or to your event venue,
Mm-hmm.
or we
Well,
can
tell
set up some
everybody where you
tables.
just pulled your truck up.
Which one?
The Hilton dude.
Oh, the president of Hilton. Yeah, it had rippled through, and he heard about us and had to have us. So we pulled up, drove over to the Chesapeake,
Mm-hmm.
and served lobster rolls to him and a bunch of his execs and folks. that
We
work
have a
with him,
house
and
on
they
the
love
water
it.
too. We open up the hydrant out front. And invite people over.
So, but they really enjoyed it, and again, it's just something that everybody can identify with, as long as you're not allergic to shellfish.
Of course. Well, but when you cater an
Just bring
event,
your EpiPen and you
Right.
when you cater an event, you're just there in the truck and you're just making them because they have to be fresh, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
you made them right now in studio because you cannot make them ahead of time.
Right. The best is to consume them immediately.
Okay.
The trick, and a lot of the quality
That's why
is
I'm
in,
doing it.
I
is in
know.
a nice warm steamy bun with a cold lobster salad inside. So it's best if you just get it, eat it immediately. It's not something.
And is that classic, the hot bun?
It is. It is. And we use a traditional top split New England bun. We
Right.
actually drive, up to Maine to buy them because you can't buy our buns down here.
Oh, really?
Yep. And there are a couple bakeries that try and produce it, but they try to get a little too fancy.
Do people compliment you on your nice buns?
Yes.
I have to say,
David's having a good time this
I am.
morning.
There's so many puns with buns.
know.
But I mean, this is, fortunately, my role on the show is to be the pain in the butt.
He doesn't have to work hard to
if
make
this
that
wasn't
happen.
good, I would tell you. This is awesome.
Right.
And there's
Polished
a
it
ton
off.
of lobster in here.
Right.
between the bucatini and this, I think
That's what
all right, the most important thing for people listening is how do they figure out where you've got 2 trucks, so you're
trucks.
moving targets.
Right.
So is there a truck? What, like, you only have one Twitter account, right?
One Twitter account, which we may change, but for right now, it's Lobster Truck DC.
Right.
And
that's how people find you.
That it is.
Okay.
So we send an update every evening with where we're projecting to be the next morning.
Okay.
Of course, we have to find a legal parking spot, and as everybody
How
knows,
hard
that
is
can
that?
be tough.
How's
it can be
the
tough.
parking? Is that tough?
It can be tough, but what's great is a lot of our followers will go out and they'll get into a parking spot and hold it for us. So as soon as we pull up,
Seriously?
yeah. And
Do they get a free
they get it
lobster roll?
first?
they get a free shrimp roll or a
shouldn't have
or a
told me
discounted
that.
lobster roll.
I love that.
And what I love most of all is when we pull up and we have a DC police officer holding a spot for us. And that is
That's
just
awesome.
to me a wonderful thing because they know that we're out there doing it by the book.
Right.
And so they have an appreciation for us being out there. We always for instance, leave the street cleaner than when we found it, really trying to be in partnership with the neighborhoods that we go into.
And lobster rolls are healthier than donuts. Too, so.
Well, no,
Slightly.
I think that's great
Yeah.
because I know that for some trucks it is, getting into that routine and finding the spaces.
Right.
You have such a small window. I mean, it's
You
just
sure do.
lunchtime.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not above paying for a spot.
I mean, you only got so much time to make your money.
Right, you got it.
So I hear you.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
All right, so
that.
Leland Morris is with Red Hook Lobster Truck, and
Give your
give
Twitter-
the Twitter.
the-
Yeah,
Twitter feed?
number one way to find us, Twitter, Lobster Truck DC.
Okay.
Facebook, Red Hook Lobster Pound DC.
Okay.
Website, redhooklobsterdc.com.
Well, thanks for coming in and cooking everything up.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks for
awesome.
having us.
So
the
much
man is
fun.
rolling in lobster.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, so now we're going to switch, sort of,
Can you introduce
kind of, yeah. Claudio Pirolo is the chef owner of Et Voila down on MacArthur Boulevard, and he is a return guest. So
Yes, chefs, have a seat, please.
pony up to the microphone. Let's start with your background because it's been a while since you've been on the show, and let's remind people how you got here.
But I got here like 11 years ago. I'm coming from Belgium. Both my parents, they are from Italy.
That is why you're Claudio
Pirolo.
right?
Yes. And I start in Washington, D.C., working for the Irish ambassador as a chef. And then I feel like,
You're like a living European Union.
exactly, yeah, exactly. And then I just, because I grew up and raised in Belgium, I said I need to bring more Belgian food in Washington, D.C.
Well, let me ask you something. Just perfect segue. Mussels and great beer are considered to be sort of the quintessential Belgian snack meal, if you would. How did that happen?
Except
I mean,
for
why are there
the
just
fries.
lots of mussels in Belgium?
Yeah, because we have, from the North Sea in Belgium, and we have a lot of mussels, and we are very, for mussels, we are very famous about the mussels. In Belgium, we eat only mussels with the month ending by BRE, like November, December.
Why is that?
The season is more high, they are more fatty inside, and the harvest of the mussels is where it's the best, yeah.
Well, Jean-Claude Van Damme is from Belgium, and he's got mussels too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that's enough.
Ar-
It's enough, right?
Thank you.
I'm done.
But that just hit me. That wasn't prepared. You got that?
Thrilled. Well, let's talk about mussels and making them, because I think some people are intimidated I was lucky enough to do one of your cooking classes, so I, of course, am not intimidated, but I do think some people are intimidated of making shellfish at home because they can be gritty or sandy. I mean, what is some advice you can give people to make some really great mussels?
I think if you buy the right mussels, you don't have problem. You always need to see that all the mussels they are closed, and if they are not closed, you just tap a little bit. If they close back, that means
They're
they are
alive.
alive. You know. For the sand inside, when I used to work in Belgium, because they have more sand than here, we used to pour in a big bath with water and flour, and there is a reaction that the sand is coming out.
Because they spit out the flour, is
exactly,
that it?
yeah. And then you need also to see if the trimming of the mussels and clean everything. But if you have a good mussels, I don't see any problem. Here in Washington, we use a lot of the mussels from Blue Bay from Canada, and right now we're gonna use the one from Penn Cove from the West Coast, from Washington State.
Because of the seasonality of it?
The season, yeah.
Do they scream when you boil them?
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh my God!
How many
Late at
mussels?
night. Right.
How many mussels? How many like bushels of mussels do you guys go through at your restaurant a week?
You mean different kind of mussel?
No, I mean just like how many orders of
Quantities.
mussels? Quantity.
We go through almost now for a small restaurant like us, almost 400 pounds a week.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, it does a lot, yeah.
It is. That's a tremendous. All right, wait. We have to take a quick break. But when
Let's
we
go.
come
When we
back,
come back,
we will
we'll
get the
talk about
411 on the mussel burger. We have lobster rolls,
Say
mussel
goodbye to
burgers,
the mussel burger.
hamburgers. It's quite a show today. This is David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie the Beast. When we come back, you'll hear David eat more.
Planet Wine in Del Rey is more than just 700 great wines. There's also a stellar selection of craft beers picked by Greg Engert, one of Food & Wine's favorite beer experts, and artisan charcuterie from Red Apron. For fine wines, beers, and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. Okay, welcome back to Foodie and the Beast. We are chowing down here, but before we get back to the show, I just want to quickly thank the folks that make the show possible. Our good friends at Neighborhood Restaurant Group, that's Planet Wine, Birch and Barley, Rustico, Vermilion, all their restaurants out there. The people at Founding Farmers and Fishers down in the Georgetown Harbor. Dish plus Drinks, Notte Bianchi and Circle Bistro. Charles Schwartz and Son Fine Jewelers, and our newest sponsor, Bethesda Central Farm Market. Guys, thanks for supporting the show.
Absolutely. Okay, so
Back to
Chef,
Claudio Pirolo.
et voila.
I shall now bite the mussel burger again.
And can you just, before you give your 411, you brought in
Yeah, I
crepes?
brought in some crepe that we do today also for Father's Day for brunch. Crepe and Nutella is very famous. I mean, crepe in Belgium is very famous also.
They're beautiful.
And then we have here the Belgium also, the Belgium endive. That is our signature dish made with chime cheese actually, and we do a white balsamico dressing with it.
Yum.
I love
very
this show.
popular,
Just
yeah.
could you please give everybody your address, please?
The address is 5120 MacArthur Boulevard and is located in the Palisade area.
Excellent.
It's et voilà.
Et voila. Excellent, Chef.
Okay, Chef,
Thank you,
thanks.
Chef.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing in all this great food.
All right, so Dean and Gustavo, let me get back to both of you.
Well,
'cause-
wait. I want to find out what Dean poured because he
Okay,
just poured
all right.
a wine. What'd you pour, Dean?
This was the Brunello from Marcello Bucci. They make about 600 cases
I love Brunel.
a year of this. And 2005 is a vintage that wasn't particularly spectacular, but in the zone where this vineyard is, it was.
delicious.
But he has 2006 to sell. So normally this would be 130 on our wine list. Right now we have it for 75.
Okay.
And I think it's one of the best buys on our list whatsoever.
And you guys have like is it Mad Mondays?
Sundays and Mondays,
Yes.
33% off. Although we can't do that on this one because we've already built it.
Oh, he's
in
backpedaling.
75.
There's some backpedaling
One
going on
wine
here.
out of 300, dude. You know, give me a break. But it's the only wine you don't get 33% off on.
Okay.
But it's a very classic style Brunello. No new oak. No small barrel, no modern winemaking. It's just all traditional winemaking.
Okay.
Family-owned vineyard. The guy started as winemaker when he was 13 years old.
You said that before. That's amazing. I mean, that's just incredible.
Did his parents know?
Yeah,
Like doing this in his room?
he was bugging his dad when he was 12 years old. And so his dad gave him a broom and said, sweep the winery. You're the assistant winemaker. So the first day he swept the winery, rolled up all the hoses, cleaned the pump, and his dad looked at it the next day and said, wow, let me give you some more jobs to do.
Right.
And by the next year, he handed him the keys to the winery and said, you're the winemaker. I'm retired. I'll be out hunting wild
See, if
boar.
we'd said that to our kids, they would have done it right next to the pot plant. So Well, Dean and Gustavo, thanks very much. And Claudio, thank you.
Well,
too,
we're going to
for-
wish the two of you best of luck next week
At the
at the
Rammies. We'll be there.
Rammies. We'll be
Thank you so
there.
much. We'll be there.
we'll
I'm
all
wearing
both-
wearing my Chanel gown.
Are you wearing a
can't miss
mask?
me.
You're supposed to come in a mask.
I'm
Yeah,
wearing,
yeah, we will.
I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a beard.
I'm
Big
shocked.
surprise.
That's amazing.
Last year I had a tuxedo jacket and a Hawaiian shirt. This year it's just back to the Hawaiian shirt.
I love it.
Aloha.
Awesome. Okay.
Which is Yiddish for aloha. All right, so we want to thank Domenica Marchetti, Leland Morris, Claudio Pirolo, Gustavo Iniesta, and Dean Gold for joining us. This is a great show.
And-
Andy, you were wonderful.
Yeah, Andy,
Nick,
you're
you were
wonderful. We'll be digging into more food, and next week we have a terrific show. Fancy Food Festival is going to be here, and so is RJ Cooper.
RJ Cooper.
We'll see you next week. Have a delicious one.